Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Easter Sunday, the 21st of April, 2019. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Robert Kemp.
Bolsey.
And remotely this time, Zachary Burgess.
In dramatic low quality.
You're not too bad, but you're a little bit bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite accurate. That's the description of you, I think. It's like, not too bad, just a little bit bad.
Just a little.
On your business card.
Just a tad. Yeah. You need to print out some business cards. I'd like to see those.
Would they just be like a brick?
A brick.
3D printed. Not
3D
not
printed.
cards. Business bricks.
Business bricks. And you just leave it. You just put it on the desk. You're like, what's this? Oh, it's Zach's business brick.
You'll remember him, for sure.
Yeah.
Someone walks in and just dumps a brick on your desk.
Would you have a full-size brick or like a little miniature brick? But it would be
Depends
full
how
on.
expensive you wanted to go with your 3D printing, I guess.
Well, it might be, yeah, if you're going to 3D print.
Oh, well, I mean, you're going to carve your name into this 3D printed brick. Is that, or is there nothing at all? Does it just say, like your old Collision Software logo, does it just have Zeg on the side?
Could do. I mean, you could print it like that. You wouldn't have to carve it. That'd be part of the model.
But would it be cheaper to get actual bricks?
Yeah,
and, like,
I'm wondering.
carve into them like with a CNC machine or something?
Be a lot cheaper, I reckon.
Yeah, than trying to print up individual bricks.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, the
bricks
printed
are quite
ones would
big.
have to be for small, like business card sized bricks. But and then like you could print text relatively small into the into like the bottom maybe. So you could just leave the brick with the text on the bottom, and people would be like, "What the fuck is this?" And then it would have your details on the bottom. See,
On the bottom.
Oh, so they might not see because it's a brick, and who turns over a brick?
Don't
I
bricks
think if you
have
just
little
found a
red
miniature
shaped,
brick
like-
on your desk, you'd probably pick it up and look at it.
Oh, we're talking miniature bricks. Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Don't they have,
I was
like-
still on the full size bricks.
But even then, don't they have like a little wedge gap underneath to put the mortar in or whatever?
It's on the
Just
side,
top,
isn't it?
Depends.
Oh, is that on the top?
Oh, yeah, it's the top, isn't it?
I guess that's the top. Yeah, it would make sense to have it on the top. So they flat on the bottom then, bricks.
How recently have you seen an actual brick?
That's, well, I see them everywhere, but they're all...
Yeah, not as like a wild brick.
Yeah, a wild brick. Free roaming brick. Yeah. And this is the baby one we're talking about. Baby bricks. But like that are business card sized.
You just get a Lego brick or something and carve something into it. Or...
Yeah, but that's not like weighty enough, is it? Like a plastic Lego brick. Maybe it is. I don't know.
It'd be convenient if all CVs were just Lego bricks thrown away, because then you could just build up your pile of preferred candidates.
Into a little wall of
Yeah.
candidates. Yeah.
This is my interview wall.
These are the rejected pile
Yeah.
or wall.
It's a very neatly constructed rejection pile.
So this
Space
is a bit of
saving.
a weird setup. Me and Rob are in the same room, and you are remote, Zeg. This is like, it's usually me remote. What's going on?
What did you do?
I didn't do nothing. That's the problem, really. I just
Did too
randomly
little.
got sprayed somehow.
Oh,
And it
no.
wasn't even like the usual way that it happens where I suddenly get sprayed. This time I was like, earlier in the week, I was like, it feels kind of like something's going to happen. And then eventually it did, which was annoying. When you know it's coming and you're like, I'm trying so hard not to do anything that will cause this to strain, but then it still did.
Oh, lame. Were you like, so did you overreact and stop walking and exercising and doing anything that you need to do?
Well, that's like the trouble with this kind of thing. Is it's just like you don't know whether you're meant to like do something to like work it out or leave it and be as still as possible. Which is better? Who knows?
I know.
I mean, is it muscular or nervous? Or you said sprain, so it's...
I'm assuming it's a sprain. It feels. Well, I don't know. This one feels kind
Well,
of
a bit
different because it's not like normally it's sort of constant. Where I've like what kind that I get in the shoulders is like
Right.
a constant feeling, but this one like spikes. So this one feels slightly different.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, is it more like tight? I suppose that would be a sort of sprainy sort of feeling, I guess, when it's that little bit sharp, a little bit certain angles make it go ooh,
Yeah.
rather than a dull ache. That's probably the do nothing side of the injury. I would
The
guess.
industry.
Of
The pain industry.
yeah.
Classic term on this podcast.
Definitely the pain industry. That's what we deal in. Oral pain.
Yeah, definitely.
But the other spelling of oral, not that. Well, both spellings actually are appropriate.
So you're going to the doctor man?
The doctor man.
The doctor man. Man was meant to refer to you, Zach.
Only if it continues to be like this. Normally it goes away in like 3 or 4 days, I guess.
You get it a lot then in your back?
More in the shoulders is the usual place it happens.
Yeah, that's what I thought. No, the back seems like a new one.
It's not that like different. I don't think it kind of feels like it's in the same positions. Like the pain is if I'm in the same kind of positions as it usually is. It's just in a different location for some reason.
Do you guys still have that like crazy ergonomic chair thing, or was that you guys in the first place? You know, where you sort of you're sort of half kneeling in it.
Yeah, I don't think we have that any longer.
Yeah, those weird ones with no back.
Yeah,
you're sort of like
Well, yeah, that might be appropriate.
Yeah,
I've been trying to think what the actual problem is. I think it might be my desk is too low. I think that's what I've determined is the one thing that I could think of.
Survey of your. I was going to say working area, but you know, your gaming area to make sure.
Because I have my
appropriate.
I got this chair specifically because it has arms that I can put up or down depending on what I'm doing. Because at certain angles, the arms kind of get in the way. But I think maybe the desk is just too low anyway.
Yeah, that might be true. Thinking about your desk.
Yeah, standing desk.
I have considered that before. Yeah. But the problem with that is there's like bookshelves immediately above my desk. Like the monitor literally only just fits directly under this bookshelf.
Yeah, that won't work then. Yeah.
I mean, I could get rid of the bookshelves. It's not like there's anything important on them. There's like a stack of DS games.
They can be drawed.
Yeah, drawed.
Put in drawers.
I mean,
drawed.
That's the verb for putting things in drawers.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been drawing.
Nice drawing.
It's part of that. It's part of the sparking joy, isn't it? You're like organising things well in your drawers. You know, you've got some excellent drawing going on there.
I need to get on that Marie Kondo shit. Learn how to fold t-shirts.
No,
you need to roll them, right?
I got a brief demonstration from Noam. It does not spark joy.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, okay.
Folding does not spark joy.
Well, thank it and let it go.
Yeah, just let folding go.
Yeah.
I did that.
Jam the things in a drawer and who cares?
Marie Kondo, apparently.
Well, isn't the whole point of like of this like tidying upness craze is like, I mean, if it's in the drawer and you can't see it, that's tiny, isn't it?
Nice.
Whilst the drawer is closed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Like there is what the big advantage to this folding mechanic, I suppose, is that when the drawer is open, it does make specific items mildly easier to find.
But when you ever specifically choose a specific thing that's not like something you wear every day.
Yeah, depends. I think it's like my running shirts. I sometimes need a specific one, like I need high vis tonight, or I'm doing a race, therefore I need my club colours. You know, something like that. Those are the specifics.
So what's your argument, Zach? Like, it shouldn't matter which one you pick out because they're all equally...
Yeah, I mean, you could take that as another angle of the like, get rid of shit you don't need. It's like, if you've got rid of all the shirts you don't want, then who cares what shirt you wear because they're all good.
Yeah, they'll all be ones you want.
Right.
I mean, technically I haven't done that, but I've got my shirts separated into, like, the stack that I wear and the stack that I don't wear. At least they're sort of organised.
Which you can't let go, right? They're the ones you need to throw away, presumably, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would if I needed space, but I've got plenty of space in that drawer, so it's just like, these are the ones that are like backup shirts in case I run out of regular shirts because of washing disasters or something.
Washing disasters.
Yeah.
The pink ones. Man, I have started making a pile of like the ones at the moment that are Kondo. My t-shirts that are Kondo folded at the moment are basically the ones that are.
Or by you?
No, they're by me.
Okay.
But they're like the more socially acceptable pile of t-shirts, like the ones that aren't covered in weird slogans that are just, you know, like standard fashion.
I think that would be like
rather than having giant Sonic the
file.
Hedgehogs on the front, you know.
Right.
I mean, the third file. The ones,
slightly.
Ones for weekend shirts.
Well, yeah, your midweek shirts can tend to be like, oh, any old crap, like ones that randomly have the word crew written on the back, as if I was working backstage or something like that.
As if you were part of the crew.
I'm loving the crew.
Yeah, loving the crew.
I forgot about that. What was that? Loving the crew then?
It's a Drake song.
Oh yeah,
loving the crew.
Oh yeah,
loving the crew. And we were playing. It was just like extra funny because we were playing Guild Wars 2 at the time. And when you're what are they called, the little gremlin creatures, the Asuras. Yeah, they all belong to a crew.
Right.
Spelled with a K. So it's like, I'm loving the crew.
I'm loving the crew. Oh,
It's actually one of Drake's better songs.
yeah.
In a weird way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't fully get the whole Drake thing. I did see him perform once.
Did you?
Yeah, it was very good. But, it's pop.
Yeah, it's sort of, pip pop. Not really hip hop, but pip pop.
Pip pop. New genre term here.
Yeah. It's what I have effectively put like crap modern rap into that sort of category. It's pip hop. This post Malone era of nonsense.
I think we've reached it. We've reached that stage where we're old and like the young people's music sounds rubbish.
I think that happened several years ago, didn't it?
Well, no, I mean, I was still fine when it was like Kendrick Lamar and stuff, and like
it's still good,
like and Chance the Rapper and stuff. But
still
something
good.
Seems to have turned recently, where it's all Drake and Post Malone, and I don't know what to like at the moment. Struggling.
Yeah, there's not a lot about that I'm in, like modern stuff that I'm into at the moment.
No.
Well, there's the odd random bit of electronic filth that comes my way on Spotify, and it's like, but it's not really like liking a band per se. Particularly, it's just like, oh, it's this one track that's awesome.
I just get excited and buy stuff, but it's from old bands. Like there's a new Chemical Brothers album. And
Is there?
It's really good. Yeah, it came out like
Sweet.
last week. Yeah, but that's not exactly new music, is it?
No,
I mean it's new music.
It's new old music,
but it's new old music.
New old.
Yeah.
Old.
I expect Rob will like one of the new tracks in Rocket League because it has what I can say this, and Rob will understand it. It has the penguin siren in it.
I think I've heard it. Yes.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah, it's
not very
dope.
prominent though. It's like in background.
But the penguin siren. It's good. Hasn't got the trumpet bit, I assume.
No.
I mean, that was one of the best bits of Kill Bill. Was that?
Yeah, I love that sound. That 70s like vague synth, I guess. Sort of synth.
It's like organ, sort of.
Yeah, super high pitched organ.
Do you get any chocolate to compensate for your back situation, Zach?
No.
For Easter? No?
I mean, if I was capable of going to a shop, then maybe I would have got something.
Oh, okay.
Although technically, I mean, that's only been like, I would have gone on Friday, so it's only been like one day that I've been incapable of driving.
Right.
Well, the chocolate sales are beginning.
Yes, you want the post-Easter chocolates.
Yeah, when it's all super cheap.
I saw them about on Friday, actually. The sort of like the chocolate
Already?
sales had begun.
That's weird. I mean, why would you even buy it before Easter? I don't really understand why people get Easter.
Why would you buy anything that long ahead of Easter? Because, like, who cares about Easter? It's like Christmas shopping, and you're like, I'm going to get this done early so I have time to relax and wrap things and not be caught in crowds. But who gives a shit about Easter?
Why does the seasonal aisle in Asda become filled with Easter eggs, like, in February?
It's bizarre. That's the aisle which is like Halloween, like 2 months in advance, and Easter 2 months in advance.
And for some reason, every now and then, filled with baby stuff every now and then. Like, is there like a baby month?
Baby season.
Yeah, kind of
Maybe.
is.
What's the next one for the aisle, for the seasonal aisle?
Maybe
It's summer crap is basically what they'll put in there.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Summer crap.
Just an entire aisle of beach balls.
Well, I was saying to Rob that my official designation of because I only split the year into 2 seasons because I don't really understand this 4-season
hot
thing.
and cold.
Hot and cold.
Yeah.
And the hot season begins when the Masters is on TV.
Well, apparently, it happened immediately this year.
Yeah.
Suddenly,
Yeah, that's my delineation. So I watched a bit the older Tiger winning the Masters back in the day.
It's quite weird. Yeah, just the fact that happened.
It's really weird, especially after he fucked up his back and everything.
Well, yeah, and he just has been rubbish.
Yeah, he's been
for
rubbish.
ages.
Yeah, I can't. Whenever they talk about his scandals and stuff, I only think of that Penny Arcade comic from the time. Do you remember that one?
yes.
No.
I mean, it's what I don't even read Penny Arcade anymore, but it was just a really funny wording sentence because he gave that press conference, Tiger Woods, where he was really sorry, I apologize to my family, everything, really straight faced, and they did that in Penny Arcade, and the speech bubble was like, I have sampled a cavalcade of world class vagina, and for that I'm truly sorry. And Gabe was like, oh, you don't have to apologize for me, man. If you're going to apologize for anything, apologize for your shitty EA golf games.
Yeah, exactly.
That situation hasn't improved in the past 10 years.
I mean, when was that? That would have been, 2005-ish? Something like that? So
Yeah.
after the good
It was a while
Tiger
ago.
Woods
It was
games?
after the good ones, for sure.
Yeah.
Then he got dropped, and then they just turned into Masters golf, and it's this is still a bad game.
Didn't they do Rory McIlroy golf one?
Yeah, they did Rory McIlroy, and then that was bad, and then it's okay, get rid of him as well, and now we'll just have Masters. It's no, that didn't even help that.
Oh, wasn't it PGA? Did they go back to using PGA Tour at one point, just calling
Really?
it PGA Tour golf?
Like it used to be.
Yeah.
No more Tiger shot.
Yeah, no more 3-click system where the wheel turns into a tiger if you're playing with Tiger Woods.
No, that's dumb.
That wasn't even the same series.
I mean, it was, but it predated the sort of 3D ones that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It was like Tiger Woods 2008 or something. No, not 2008.
Much earlier than that.
Much earlier. Yeah. Yeah, of course it would have been 2000. Well, probably 2000.
Yeah,
actually.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so hot season is here
Yeah, hot season has arrived.
with variations.
The windows are open. One of my windows is broken. So
Again?
yeah, and I think it's one of the ones we've already got fixed. So the one we normally open in. No one's going to know this, but the one that we normally open in the living room next to the TV.
I mean, the one that I had to help you put together last time.
Yeah, the one you have to hoof back in position because you're the tall one.
Yeah.
That one's gone again. Literally just noticed it before the podcast, and I'm still a little bit angry.
That got professionally fixed eventually,
It
right?
did, yes, with a brand new plastic clip, and it's just these plastic clips that they use to actually build these windows out of, and clearly terrible.
Right. Just
It's
snapping off.
you want some kind of. I'm now considering is there now an aftermarket metal part I can put in there instead?
Yeah.
It makes sense. Or just never open my windows and live the hermit lifestyle. Just put air conditioning and Dyson fans on every wall. And that'll be fine.
Hermit lifestyle. Hermetically sealed.
If we lived in America and everyone had central air or whatever,
Yeah.
then I'd probably be all right.
I wonder what it's like to have central air. Can you even get it installed in Britain? Bet you can.
I mean,
I bet you
presumably
can.
it's like being in an office, right? It's
Yeah,
just cold
like being
all
in
the
an
time.
office or
It's just
being in a hotel.
Nice. You mean nice all the time, not cold. Nice.
Well, depends how cold your office is, because definitely some offices have it turned down too low.
Ours is actually a little warmer than most. It's it seems to have a thermostat of 21 or something, and which is a little bit toasty for me. I like a crisp 17 from my aircon.
I remember, I don't listen to it very much, but that podcast Hello Internet with CGP Grey and
Yes,
that Brady guy. I listened to it last year during the heat wave, and CGP Grey was being his typical self, being like, British people are insane. Everyone in America and Australia, Brady, have central air and air conditioning in their house, and everything is fucking fine because we, as human beings, have sort of figured out how to get the correct temperature. But in Britain, no one does it, and then they say, like, every time it's super hot, they say, oh, but this only happens once in a blue moon. And then it's hot for like 5 weeks in a row. And they still keep saying, oh, but it never happens. And he's like, I put freaking air conditioning in my house in Britain and it's great. And Brady's like, over from Australia. And he's like, yeah, it's weird. And I'm sweltering. I've never even considered it because it's just the British way not to do it.
Well, it's like it's only 10% of the year, so like
that's what
in terms of an investment.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like it's not a great investment, and also I don't know, the ecological part of me thinks
definitely.
Hey, aircon's really bad.
It's really bad.
How much power are you using to run that?
Yeah,
a lot.
It's like those cities in America, like where Breaking Bad is set, right, which are literally in the desert. It's like they can't really exist as you can't really live there without central air.
It wouldn't be nice.
And it's so...
I mean, you could, but not in like a modern human society.
No, I mean, you can build your house out of Adobe or whatever and hope. But
it's like when I went to Malaysia, and it's like outside it's ridiculous, and then inside it's like, oh my gosh, this is like so cool and so nice, and your entire skyscraper is filled with whatever this is. But it's
this weird air.
Yeah, wherever this air came from.
Yeah, it's like, definitely destroying the planet.
They're probably like shipping in the air.
Yeah,
it's like that's how bad it is. Like they just get crates of air shipped
all these
in.
air tankers that come along the sea and then connect into this district air piping system.
And then they just go.
Yeah,
that would be like the most extravagant thing. Would be to have like. On the top of your building, you have like a drone port, which like you have air drones that just bring big tanks of air.
Ship in mountain air from the mountains. Yeah,
that'd be so nice. I've gone for fjord today. I want some fjord air
because like the aircon in offices like is treating and recirculating air from the outside of the polluted city. That's no good. You need to ship in air, contribute to the pollution in the city by shipping in air from the countryside where it's all nice.
Where it's all nice, except for that bit next to the pig field.
Yeah, okay, that part. Okay, the mountains then,
and directly behind a horse.
I wouldn't harvest my air from directly behind a horse.
The horse might just be standing next to you.
Yeah, that's true.
You could quite easily get a bad country match.
Well, that's why you need AI drones to recognise, like, oh, there's some cows. Let's move away from there. Go over this way a bit.
See, AI is going to solve everything in the future.
Yeah, AI object recognition means don't go near cows.
I recognise this as a stinky class of object.
Although, hey, if we were being truly ecological warriors, we wouldn't eat beef, right? That's what they're saying at the moment. Well, they're saying we shouldn't eat beef because it's destroying the planet, or intensive beef farming is. We're looking at you, McDonald's. And also we can't eat pigs anymore because they give you cancer, supposedly.
Well, bacon. I'm not sure if it's just pigs in general.
It's most pork, apparently. There's just high nitrate content in pork meat, supposedly, which they think is now a carcinogen.
Yeah, but everyone thinks everything's a carcinogen.
Everything, exactly. You're absolutely
year and everyone will forget about that.
You're absolutely right. It's like the statistics are so all over the place that it's like, yeah, sure, we'll make. They might be right, but good God, it's bacon. Bacon.
It's not like you eat bacon that much.
I have bacon every week, probably at least twice. I eat a lot of bacon. Oh, I ate a modicum of bacon. How about that?
I had quite a lot this morning, so. Yeah,
we've taken on the proper athlete's breakfast at the moment, where it's do a park run, go to the wall pack, and have a filling.
Have a filthy.
Yeah. Exactly. Just undo everything.
Yeah, that sounds like a good way to live life.
It's not bad. I will sometimes have a lesser breakfast and go for just the sausage bat. But it is served in brioche, so that's made it all the worse.
Brioche and sausage.
It's pretty good.
Oh my God, that sounds deadly.
It's pretty good.
Right, we should probably move on to video games.
On to not food.
Yeah,
as
the
usual.
subject of this,
as usual.
Podcast.
It's only 20 to 4. It's like I've got at least a few hours worth of hunger to maintain.
Indeed. What's going on in the world of video games? It's time for the news.
It's time for the news. Well, let's get the obvious one out of the
Is
way.
that the latest jingle?
It's time for the news.
Yeah,
News.
obvious one.
PS5. It's a thing.
Theoretically, PS5.
Well, yeah, the name is up for discussion, but there is another Sony console confirmed.
the weird thing is that
everyone console confirmed.
Well, Microsoft. Well, yeah, they said they're working on something, haven't they? They haven't told us anything about it.
the weird thing is that it's sort of announcing the efforts, which are obviously happening, but giving a full interview to Wired without any kind of public press.
Yeah.
conference. Just Mark Cerny being like, "Yeah, all right, I'll sit down with you guys and tell you a bunch of stuff."
We'll just do some things, yeah.
And
It doesn't seem like a very standard way for like a console reveal. Or anything
no,
like
it's
that.
quite weird.
It's not really a reveal, I suppose.
No.
But they're just like, yeah, we're doing something.
But they're talking about it ahead of time, which they didn't do with the PS4, I think. Maybe they're worried they need to get ahead of some kind of announcement from Microsoft at E3.
Maybe. I mean, Microsoft has had a tendency to announce early the last.
That's
or
true.
Be first out of the gate the last couple gens.
You'd think they could ride on the One X for a while, given how powerful it is. But
Maybe, yeah. I think Microsoft have bigger problems at the moment than their console. And there is something to be said about when the new gen, a whole generation, supposedly comes. There is a branding thing behind that works, right?
yeah, there definitely is
Like,
that cycle.
Yeah, whether or not it's the One X or whatever, the Xbox One has a bit of a problem. Like just because it's the Xbox One, and it always has done,
which it won't be able to shake.
No,
same as the PS3 kind of had a problem.
It kind of did, yeah.
So yeah, so what do we know? It's fully back compat, so same architecture, but it's the latest generation of the AMD Ryzen shit. So it's not like stuck on Jaguar, which is good. And they're talking about ray tracing, but they're not saying whether it's hardware, but it kind of has to be to some extent hardware boosted, I reckon. Otherwise, this will be a kind of crappy announcement.
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly what AMD are up to because this is the first time that they've really talked about it. I think I don't think any of the Radeon cards have even vaguely mentioned that ray tracing is happening on at a hardware level at least.
Well, even the Nvidia ones, it kind of came out of left field. Like no one expected ray tracing to be in this generation of video cards. I don't think because everyone recognised that. Obviously, everyone knew that it was going to get there eventually because I mean that's the tech that's powered like Pixar rendering since the 90s.
Sure.
But I mean, everyone knew it couldn't be done fast enough real time. But yeah, the fact that it's in there and this is going to be the push for the next gen of consoles is pretty exciting. Consumer consoles.
Well, yeah, and there's some other specs thrown around. It's getting a little bit ahead of themselves, I think, to some degree by putting the word 8K in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean that's just I'm sure it can probably output 8K, but that'll be like 4K on the PS. That would be like one Gran Turismo tech demo or something,
maybe
for the Japanese market.
And even then, that strikes me as a complete unnecessary. I mean, I think we're finally getting to the point where the resolution of a screen, and unless these things get twice as big as like we're talking like 100-inch screens or something like that. Like unless we're starting to encroach that sort of size, you're going beyond what is actually sensible just for the human eye.
I mean, even this new console is not going to be able to do 4K 60 for most games. I wouldn't have thought so.
Because 4K 60 is still hard.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah,
I mean, 4K 30 is hard too. I mean, actually, like it's pretty hard.
I mean, yeah, even like the nicest PlayStation 4 Pro titles that run 4K. Then either not running 4K like Spider-Man and are doing some sort of middle ground resolution, or they're having to take shortcuts, such as God of War's checkerboard rendering.
Yeah, what you want is the next generation to cut out the shortcuts and give you a good performance on 4K, which at that point will be the standard for TVs. Well, it is now, but I don't see. If you go and buy a TV at that point, it will be a 4K TV, right?
Yeah.
I know now you could still probably get 1080 TVs, right? If you go
Oh, they're still about.
Yeah. But by the time this is the standard console, 4K will be the standard TV, I would have thought.
I think it's actually easier to find a 4K screen than it is a 1080. The 1080s are still about, but like pretty much anything most things you'll see will have some kind of 4K capability.
So that's what I'd hope, is that they can drive the standard TV at standard res up to 60.
I kind of always thought it would be the other way around to some degree. I thought HDR would become
the driver,
the normal part. That most TVs would pick up HDR tech over more pixels.
Right, that hasn't happened.
But no, it's happened exactly the other way. The HDR space is still the one that's actually a little bit problematic.
Yeah. It's funny because PC gaming the monitors are not.
PC HDR is still pretty poor.
Yeah. Which is interesting. But this could have implications for PC gaming, right? Because it will push more ray tracing, at least in video cards. Because currently an RTX card or whatever is expensive, right? Even the low one is quite a lot.
Obscene money.
Yeah. Is it obscene? Yeah,
well,
it's pretty
I think
obscene.
It's like entry level, like 20 series cards, still like 700 quid.
Fucking hell, that's ridiculous. Yeah,
I think that the I forget what they call it, the GTX, the TI. That's it, the 2080 Ti. That's like over $1,000.
Jeez,
it's.
It's silly money, isn't it? So this will drag everyone. The prices down for everyone on some form of ray tracing tech. Maybe not the full whack, but. Yeah, which is cool.
You'd hope. Well, if you consider whatever is inside the Xbox One X, and that you get that whole thing for less than 500 quid. There is no graphics card you can buy on its own that's as powerful as an Xbox.
That. Yeah,
and it's it hasn't really pushed down prices. The existence of that thing, even with its vapor chambers and all kind of fancy tech that goes on in the.
Yeah, well, that's because
1X.
it's yeah. I guess that's true. But that's because it's like current gen graphics tech, but like all integrated in a super efficient way that makes it cheaper and
to an
efficient.
extent. Yeah. It's easier to manage, and you're only making, in theory, one of them across your entire console lineup, right? So you're making a lot more of them.
Yeah,
than you probably are.
It's still amazing. Like it's super cool.
Yeah.
But hopefully the PS5 or whatever it is kind of almost next gen or current ridiculous price gen graphics tech at that price point.
Yeah, I want to see the next gen of consoles sort of run with what the X has achieved effectively. Like I want those vapor chamber things. I want those fanless designs.
Yeah.
I want them to be quite like.
Well, we'll see if it's small and quiet.
Yeah, I don't necessarily care about the size, because I never have done. I was never too much of a problem with the original Xbox One's beef. It's big.
That was a bit boring, the design, I thought.
Yeah, sure. It's big and boring, and it was designed to be part of a TV entertainment center.
Yeah.
Because, TV, and their original pitch. But even their, new design isn't all that interesting, really. It's just a grey slab.
Yeah,
but
Xbox One X looks handsome.
Yeah.
But
they're nice. They're not bad looking things. But like the main thing is the noise.
Yeah,
and it's they've all been noisy up until the X, and apparently the latest PS4s are quite quiet as well.
Yeah, my Pro's quite quiet.
Mine's quite quiet, but it can get noisy playing God of War.
Yeah, I think I have the same as you then.
I think there's a slightly newer revision of this one that's much better. And I just missed out on, annoyingly.
Blast. Always happens. They're saying it's all SSD though,
which is good.
Potentially,
because loading in this gen has always been problematic.
Yes, so
I think a lot of games have managed to make it good now, but it's one of the big lies to me about the new generation of consoles. It's like every time there's a new gen, the line, "Hey, loading times will be faster," comes by, and every time that's a complete nonsense, because they're having to do a lot more work, and no one's figured out how to do the more work well yet. The loading times on when PS4 and especially Xbox first came out were atrocious.
Yeah.
Like going back to play, like if I was to try and play Forza 5 now, I reckon I'd have a real hard time waiting for some of those loading pauses.
Yeah.
I remember them being bad, and things like that are a lot better now. I don't know, even if Forza Horizon, I think, still has a bit of an issue with loading, but it does it on initial boot. It gets its load out of the way, and then it's fine for the rest of the thing. And it's
like Red Dead or something.
Oh yeah, Red Dead's load is pretty bad, isn't it? But
well, it's fine.
But then once you're in,
wait,
yeah,
and then once you're in, it's fine.
It's also worth noting that Red Dead's one of those, on the X at least, it does run native 4K.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're there. We can achieve 40.
It's doable.
4K 30 on an amazing looking game.
Yeah. So that will be. I mean, that was something that was impressive when Google announced that Stadia thing. Was like they actually concentrated a little bit on the load times and were like, look, with this weird solution, we can give you this like insane load time. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, because I guess they can put an insane amount of caching on that data.
Yeah, that's basically it. They have it cached in solid state on those servers, basically. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, well, still super early days. We don't know anything. We don't even know that it's called PlayStation 5, but I think you'd be foolish not to put a bet on that.
Definitely. It sounds appealing to me already, so especially with the full back compat. And I'm skeptical about the whole, the Stadia kind of service future thing, at least for this next generation.
Yeah, I'm still not on board with it, honestly.
So, I think Sony's going in a good direction.
And they said full PSVR back compat as well.
Yeah.
So not just PS4, it's like all PSVR will come with it, which is
good.
Which would be nice, yeah, because it means if they do the slightly rumored PSVR 2
which they probably will.
idea, then you're not really. Well, we still don't really know if that means that they're going to lock out. Like there would be games that are purely PSVR 2 games. We still don't know.
I mean, with that kind of performance, like you're going to be able to make a much better. Experience, aren't you?
You'll get nearer to what the PC experience is for sure. If not supersede it with console level. I mean, if you're designing your console to be VR specific from the off or VR capable from the off, there might be some optimizations you can do at the hardware level that just aren't available on PC.
That would be cool if they had that, because that would be the first time I would actually consider getting a headset of any kind.
The little breakout box you need for the PSVR could probably just be in the console.
Inside, yeah. Cool. Well,
it's beginning. It's beginning, but not this year.
Yeah.
That's the other detail.
Which I also think is fair enough.
Yeah.
The PS4's got plenty of life.
It's still a monster.
Yeah. It's doing fine.
Still putting out good looking games, and we've got a lot of games to look forward to on PS4. Absolutely nothing to look forward to on Xbox, but
yeah, well, Halo Infinite.
Yeah, that is the one, but and we don't know anything about that.
They better tell us something about that at E3.
Yeah,
because I mean,
Microsoft need to tell us something.
There's no way it's not Destiny. I mean, it clearly is going to be Destiny, but that doesn't mean it won't be good. It could well be good.
Could be. What else we got? What else is happening in news?
Let's see. Well, they were giving away Assassin's Creed Unity for free after the Notre Dame fire, which is kind of cool. And they're donating money to the rebuilding efforts. That's kind of cool. I guess at this point, now that game is getting reverse review bombed with tons of positive reviews.
Reverse review
bomb, which is kind of interesting. But like at this point, that game is patched and not total garbage like it was when it came out.
Is it patched enough?
I don't know. I mean, it was kind of a train wreck.
Yeah.
But apparently a ton of bugs are fixed. And
can I still see people's eyeballs?
You get funny bugs, but not game-breaking bugs.
Okay.
So I think that's the difference.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with hilarious bugs, as long as they don't affect me.
The question is whether Valve are going to negate the positive review bomb, like they tried to negate the negative ones.
The negative ones. Yeah, good question.
I suppose in the spirit of fairness, they probably should.
Yeah. Because it's definitely not about the game, which is their criteria for the negative ones.
Yeah. Did you hear the thing about that after Borderlands got review bombed because of the Epic Store exclusivity for Borderlands 3, Randy Pitchford has just come out and said, yeah, man, this is why we don't want to use Steam.
Right.
He's pretty much like, the review bombing has sort of backfired to some extent, and like, as it probably would have, in fairness. Like, when you think about it, this seems like an obvious outcome. But yeah, he's just gone like, no, this is the kind of reason why we don't want to work with Steam anymore. It's like...
Right. Harsh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Steam doing it, but
no,
I guess
it's not. But
it.
their platform is why it
Who cares about user reviews? I never look
I
at that shit.
I mean, they are sometimes very funny.
Yeah.
When you look at
individual reviews, but I mean the actual like aggregate score. Like, who cares about that?
I mean, I kind of want it to be a thing.
But anyone can contribute to that.
For the most part, they are kind of okay to follow. When if you compare like critics' ideas to the general sentiment of a game, and you go look at it, most of the time they correlate. They do. Like, you'll look at something and go like, oh, this is a mixed reception game, and yeah, that makes sense. It wasn't reviewed very highly and things like that. It does.
Yeah.
They do pan out. Like a fan re-release or like of an old game is like, it's clearly only being reviewed by the people that like this game, but then this remake has only been positioned for people who like the original.
I mean, the only time
it will get a load of positives, and it's like, well, okay, of course it does. It's a good version of that original game. Great, that's fine. That's all people need to know in some respects. It's like, but yeah, it is susceptible to this odd. I shouldn't really admit to this, but I have like occasionally it is fun to walk through the user reviews for, let's say, Steam's more dubious content and see what comes up with. And it's like I'm pretty sure the popularity of let's call them anime boob games.
Anime boob games
is mostly propped up by people putting joke reviews in.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But that's not what we're talking about here. That kind of game is not getting review bombed.
No, if anything, it's getting positive review
bombed by people, by the many boob fans of the world.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Although anime boobs are acquired taste.
Oh yeah, it's a very specific.
They're not real, guys. What else is going on? It was Star Wars Celebration, so we had the Star Wars trailer and the trailer for the Star Wars game. I say because EA make about 2 games a year at this rate.
Was that Star Wars license?
They cancel 2 games a year.
Yeah, they do. So, but this one isn't cancelled yet. It's Respawn's game, Jedi. What's it called? Fallen Order.
That's the one.
Right. Yeah. So there was a trailer for this. And then they announced no single player only, no loot crates, and everyone's like, "Well, hooray!" But I mean, if you weren't EA, you wouldn't have to say that.
I know, but it depends. Like, who said that? Like, was it Respawn themselves, or did an EA spokesperson say that? I suppose it doesn't matter. Like, they're just trying to. I guess they know the fears around any project that's attached to EA, so it's probably wise to say something.
Yeah,
and also like stops people from getting the wrong idea about it. Respawn have been a multiplayer studio.
Indeed, they have.
Other than Titanfall 2's excellent single player. But...
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of the reference point, isn't it? I suppose everyone really liked that, although it didn't help the game that much, sadly. In terms of sales, but did you watch the trailer, Zeg?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, all you need is Jedi wall running, and that's pretty much that game, really, isn't it?
Jedi wall running. I mean, it's Respawn. You've got to have wall running.
Apex Legends doesn't have wall running,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why not? It probably should.
It's in the same universe as the wall running.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they're wearing the same pilot thing.
Well, you could at least make it like a class ability or something. Like if you had a pilot in that game and have them be a special character. Or the robots, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. They just haven't designed that world to have like billboards and things to run on.
I don't really need specific wall running places, really. Just So I don't expect they really designed that world specifically with the knee slide in mind, apart from a couple of like half-open doors that you see, where it's like, oh look, that garage door is half open. I can conveniently knee slide under it.
You can knee slide down hills and keep your speed.
Yeah, but I don't expect they designed the hills with that in mind. It was probably just like sight lines and stuff, more than knee sliding.
Yeah, you might be right. It was just fun to do knee slides. Anyway. Yeah, Apex. No wall running. But we've got wall running Jedi.
Apparently. Yeah. It looks like Uncharted in space. Or
see, I don't know.
13 style.
Yeah,
or it depends what the combat's like. It looks like it's going to be like a Dark Souls, I don't know, third person thing.
Have we seen any gameplay to verify that?
No, there's none. But it's all rumor, I suppose.
Yeah. I don't know what to think at this point, because clearly that studio's heritage has been nothing but first person.
I highly doubt it'd be first person.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you, but
I mean that would be great if it was like Jedi Knight. Yeah. Dark Forces. This is Dark Forces 4 or whatever. Yeah.
It's just that the bit when I don't know how the problem with any Star Wars game when you go first person is we're going to have, and the trailer clearly shows, we're going to have a lightsaber at some point. How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And it's like...
you can definitely deal with that. Third person. Right.
I wonder if they've inherited, this whole project has basically been, has some remnants of what was EA's other Star Wars projects brought in. I know it's a separate company and it's in the supposedly said it's a ground up thing, but just hearing you saying it's got some Uncharted vibe and knowing what happened to the Amy Hennig
because she was involved, right?
Yeah, it's is the carcass of some of her work in this.
Well, it must be, right? Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. What was she working on exactly?
She wasn't working on the BioWare, not BioWare, but some big Star Wars RPG project,
right?
They canned because they canned once, and because they were they did that downvoted Reddit comment saying they were pivoting towards more multiplayer focused things.
Oh yeah,
and
everyone hates
the death of single player.
Well, at least from EA.
Yeah. Thing. So that was when the original one got, and then they canned whatever came out of that fairly recently. Yeah. So the second canning of that game. So who knows? It's a messy situation over at EA. But I don't think we can draw any conclusions from that trailer whatsoever.
No, apart from the setup seems potentially good.
Is it right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it could work.
But show me some game. Also, Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
Not Respawn's engine, not Frostbite. Probably wise.
Not that weird Source Engine hybrid that they made, where they turned out they had to rewrite most of it.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Yeah, it was Visceral Games, right?
Yeah, that's it.
The people that made Dead
Space, yeah.
But that got shut down.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you see the Star Wars trailer itself, Zag?
Yes.
Yeah. Dumb?
Yes, very dumb. It's we were always speculating about, well, if they're remaking those 3 films again, then obviously we're going to have Starkiller 2, right? And it's no, wait, we'll just have the actual Death Star 2. We'll just go and find it.
Yeah, there's a shot of it clearly in the sea, right? Presumably that's Endor.
Yeah, presumably.
I didn't really see any oceans on the forest moon.
Well, presumably there has to be quite a lot of water for it to be a forest moon.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Why does that have to be a desert? And is that Tatooine at the start? I mean, why not? Why it'd be stupid if it was a third desert planet after Jakku and Tatooine.
Well, who cares about that desert planets, really?
They're planets. There's a lot of them.
That's true.
Who cares?
It depends how long how long they stay on it. Because desert planets aren't that interesting.
No, not really. They got off Jakku quite quickly in Force Awakens.
Yeah, and I mean they did still try and come up with some shit for Jakku, like mysterious shifting sands and the random bullshit like that. And it's just like, oh yeah, well that's the one interesting part of that desert plan. Now let's just leave.
Now let's just go. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, it did seem like, J.J. Abrams had started the first trilogy, the new trilogy off by having, Han and Chewie and people from the original trilogy back, and then handing over the torch to the new generation, right? That was the idea, right? And then the second film,
both directorially and narratively,
narratively, and then the Rian Johnson came over and made that kind of butt second film, and now he's like, well, shit. Now I have to bring back. Who have I got left that I can bring back so I can bring back Star Wars? Because this hasn't worked. This handover to the new generation.
So apparently Lando is the
now
answer.
We have to get fucking Lando, and then
didn't we know about Lando being back? But I feel like that wasn't a surprise.
No, I don't think there's been any Lando news.
Wasn't he in?
He was in Solo, but that was a prequel.
Oh yeah, of course.
So yeah, it's like, who can we wheelchair out? Well, there's Lando and the Emperor, I guess.
Yeah, somehow.
Oh boy, yeah, the Emperor thing.
Now that's dumb.
That can go very bad.
I mean,
I know they're doing the whole. I mean, that whole thing. No one ever leaves, right?
No one's ever really gone.
Yeah,
but that just means there's no stakes in anything because no one can die.
Well, yeah, and they want Mark Hamill's voice for something.
Yeah,
well, but Force Ghosts will still be a thing, obviously.
Yeah. They did that with Obi-Wan Kenobi in the first series, and that was fine. But it just
means
we've
got Emperor Ghost. He can't really do anything. He's an Emperor Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, now we've had fucking Yoda Ghost, which is dumb. And now Emperor Ghost.
Man, what if it turns into like the fucking thing from Lord of the Rings, where you have the ghosts actually fight?
Right, yeah. The paths of the dead and the
just have like a massive Force Ghost Jedi fight against Force Ghost Sith, and they just all turn up suddenly.
I just kind of want then all the normal characters, the alive ones, to then just sort of go, well, that's fine. They can do their thing.
Back away slowly.
We'll just go over here.
Have a cup of tea while they sort it out.
That would actually be really good. They'd just be like, does what they're doing really matter?
They're not.
I guess not. No,
They're like part of the Force, I guess. So
yeah, we can just leave them to it. We'll just go save the rest of the galaxy. Do what we do.
I mean, it would matter less if they hadn't decided to like now definitively be like, yeah, Force Ghosts can affect the real world, like lightning strikes and shit.
Right. But then, like, if they have Force Ghost Emperor, they could just have Force Ghost Vader come up and attack Force Ghost
they totally
Emperor,
could.
Right? And that would be so stupid. Oh my god.
I mean, how did they explain? Didn't they try and explain how you become a Force Ghost or something?
You had to
not everyone is.
Yeah, I thought you had to like be at peace or something when you
yeah,
like
you thought
Obi-Wan.
So.
But no.
Yeah, because I assume the Emperor wasn't at peace when he died.
No. Whereas all the ones you've seen as Force Ghosts, like Obi-Wan and Yoda, and even Vader.
Darth Vader, technically, yes.
Yeah, they were all at peace when they died, right?
True, yeah.
And they faded away. Although Darth Vader didn't fade away mysteriously, did he? He just.
Although, would you say Qui-Gon Jinn had been at peace when he died? Because probably not. And he was supposedly the first Force Ghost, right?
Well, he was. Well, no, but he was kind of. Looking at that fight, he did sort of look like that was what his fate was going to be. Right?
Yeah, I guess he sort of knew that he was fucked when he got lightsabered.
That doesn't make you a Force Ghost, though, knowing that you're fucked.
Well, you have to be at peace with the fact that you're about to get fucked.
You're a true warrior spirit, then. They should put that on the box.
What box? The box of what? The Force Ghosts.
So
that should be the next game they just make. Just like Star Wars Force Ghosts.
So supposedly they've been plotting to bring back the Emperor for some time, but it's so powerfully dumb that it really. And also, like, the Emperor is like the only good character who's been in the prequels and the original trilogy, and now. So he's like the character now, in a way. And he doesn't even appear in the first and best two films. Well, he sort of appears in Empire, but not really.
Shrouded.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know. I just find myself not able to care.
No, well, after that last film, it doesn't really matter anymore, does it? Like, they kind of screwed it, so...
It's not the big event that they think it is, in a way.
Not now.
It's like the saga finally finishes. Is that what, forever?
I mean, like, what,
well, they're not going to do another
they...
mainline Star Wars for like at least another 3-4 years.
Doesn't sound like a lot now, does it?
It's not that long, is it?
What bullshit could they even be hoping to find in the wrecked Death Star? Like, what is there that they want, apparently, that makes them want to go there?
The Emperor's spirit. Ooh.
I mean, yeah, that seems to be like the only thing.
That's the only thing that's there. Yeah, because there's nothing there, right? Oh, maybe Darth Vader's. No, because his body got taken to the funeral pyre on Endor, didn't it?
Yeah, and then the helmet got stolen by Ren, apparently.
Yeah, the melted helmet got grabbed by Kylo Ren somehow.
Yeah, how did that happen? Like, presumably, unless the helmet was still sort of vaguely okay in the wreckage, and he's been in the wreckage before.
Well, it must have been from the funeral pyre, right?
No, I think the helmet got left on the Death Star, right? Because he took the helmet off and put it on the floor.
Oh, was it not on him when he was being burned in the fire, though? Isn't that not part of the image? Did he not put it back on?
Maybe. It's like hard to remember that image that well.
Yeah. Well, it's not really important.
No. Because, you know,
maybe Han took it, right? Like, just as a souvenir.
I don't think.
Why would Han care?
I don't think he would be like that disrespectful to dig it out of a funeral pyre.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he might have thought he could sell it. He's a bit shifty.
Don't think he's that much of a shifty bagger.
He's a bit shifty. Because then he could have like randomly had it in his house or in a crate somewhere, and Kylo could have discovered it. Right?
It's probably some Ewok bastard who dug it out there. They don't understand what's going on.
That's true.
And it had a little bit of force still in the helmet or something that Kylo could find. That sounds like the sort of nonsense they'd say.
But he's like,
oh man,
I'm gonna keep
if
this
they
in
are
a cat litter tray.
if they are going back to the Endor, then that means we get Ewoks, right? They're just going full on.
Yeah.
No.
Bring back the Ewoks. Screw the porgs.
No, they'll be extinct or something terrible will have happened.
They'll be big porgs.
They will have all been killed in like Empire reprisals or something. I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah, because the whole Ewoks thing was meant to be like a ecological, like nature versus technology and heavy-handed metaphor, wasn't it, in Jedi? So if they actually were killed by... Clearly, there's been a climate collapse on Endor, right?
I don't know. It doesn't look that different.
Yeah, maybe. Kind of does.
Giant Death Star wreckage landing on it should have fucked some shit up, probably.
That's true. I didn't think it was meant to, right? It just blew up in the sky.
Yeah, it should have really stayed in orbit, probably. I guess was it orbiting? Yeah, it was orbiting, right?
Well, I mean, bits. No, we only saw a bit of it, didn't we? Well, a fairly large bit, admittedly. But
yeah, how did anything survive that explosion?
Yeah, I mean, that explosion was so big. It just, at least as depicted on screen, there's clearly no chunks of it left.
No, it just sort of sparkles out.
Yeah.
It? Like a big iron filing.
No one's ever really gone. Even objects aren't really gone.
Apparently. Helmets and Death Stars somehow come back.
And lightsabers left in chests.
Yeah, well, that lightsaber got torn into two in the last movie. She somehow managed to repair it. Although that is the thing that Jedis become Jedis by constructing lightsabers, right? So maybe repairing it is her becoming a Jedi.
But it depends if the crystal got messed up, right?
Yeah, the crystal's the thing, though, right?
Yeah,
it's not just building a lightsaber, it's getting the crystal and tuning it and all that crap.
Yeah, did the crystal get split in half, or was it cool? Especially now that they've made kyber crystals, like, in canon,
yes.
by having
and
that
they all got blown up.
Yeah. And, like, the Death Star is powered by lightsaber crystals?
Well, that was kind of always the case, I think. The focusing beam or whatever used the same stuff as lightsabers.
Whatever. Anyway, we'll see. Back to video games.
It was like the Death Star's like Death Beam, just a humongous lightsaber.
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, that would be kind of cooler. If it didn't make the planet explode, it just cut a big hole through the middle.
Yeah, just like, it just leaves a big old hole, and then the whole thing sort of implodes as you realise the core's no longer there or something.
Well, they made it like a nuke, didn't they? In by having this weird single reactor ignition where you could like dial it down to only be like a massive nuclear bomb.
Well, it could when they made Death Star 2 with targeting the starships, that was like turning it down as well.
That's true, but that had like, I don't know, because it makes it. Rogue One kind of makes the first Death Star look more advanced than the second Death Star in some ways.
Yeah, kind of.
Anyway.
Helpful Star Wars canon, as usual.
Yeah.
Even the bits they did get rid of still don't make any sense.
Yep.
There are... I'm trying to work out. There are fewer Death Stars than there are Death Eggs.
How many Death Eggs are there?
It's been like
3 at least.
3 now, I think. Yeah.
Well, it depends if you count Starkiller Base.
Yeah.
But then what about the space station in Sonic Adventure 2? Does that count as a Death Egg technically?
That's more of a star killer, isn't it? Because it's built into a planet or the moon in this case.
No, it wasn't the moon. It was just like an asteroid, right? It's just like a lumpy bit of rock.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah, you're right. It's sort of next to the moon. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that counts.
Because it wasn't built by Robotnik, it was built by his granddad, so technically the same family.
Yeah, no, I don't think that counts.
Well, Sonic canon.
It was. I guess it was supposed to be a life egg.
With a death laser. I'm not sure that works.
Yeah.
To protect life, I have to be able to murder it if I need to. So goes evil villain thinking.
Stop those invasive species by destroying them from orbit, naturally.
Yep.
Right. Smash Brothers news. What's going on?
Have you delved in? Yeah, have you dug into this yet, Zeg? Because I have not.
I did indeed look at parts of it briefly. Not that much.
Have you made the double and tard hole?
No, I'm waiting for you to do that. You have to recreate that. On the plus side, I did when I looked at the saver. It's like it probably will be quite easy to make the double and tard hole.
Right.
It's got like a grid-based system. Although the one problem, and I'm not sure if I just haven't like pushed the right button or done it right or something. I don't think you can make like straight diagonal lines. You still have to freehand diagonals.
Okay.
Which kind of sucks.
So the stage creator's back, basically.
Yes,
as I think you previously mentioned on the cast that might have been rumored to.
Yes, it's spoiled in a video that Nintendo put out where it was on the TV in a background shot.
But good news. That means we can make all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yes, and
or at least the same crazy stuff that we always make.
Yes.
Like the double and tard hole was basically like a sort of like it's basically like a big cheese wedge of a stage kind of, but on one side there were little cutouts, like little platforms on one of the vertical edges, and we did that because little nooks, because the AI had a tendency of just recovering into them and then not figuring out how to get out of them to get back on the stage. So it's kind of an AI test for the game.
Nice.
Yes. See if they can work out how to get out of the entire holes.
They're going to manage it this time.
Yes. I think they might this time. I'm fairly confident that the AI might be smart enough to do that.
You know what? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But yeah, the AI is a bit better this time.
But yeah, I went in there and looked at it, and it's got some fairly fancy, features and stuff like, you can make foreground and background that's not part of the stage, but you can just have it there to look nice or obstruct your view if you're a crazy person.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
The one thing that does suck about it is the textures. The textures are just so generic and bad.
Well, they kind of were in the Wii U one as well. They were not that interesting.
It's like look at this terrible bright green grass texture that just looks really horrible.
I assume they're not themed particularly.
No, it's just like you just get these generic ass different material textures, which do technically have an effect. Like because you can make things that are affected by gravity, like you can just make free falling objects where you can be like, I make this out of rubber and it will bounce. So like the
weird.
texture does actually have a physical effect technically, and I'm not sure if like I don't know if I was trying to work out from by testing it a little bit to see if like the rubber, if you make a rubber floor, whether you like bounce more when you hit against it.
Oh, whether the characters bounce.
Yeah,
right.
but I couldn't really tell very well. It
I
looked
quite
like
like the
it maybe
idea
did.
I quite like the idea of making every wall out of rubber and just having an item pinball nightmare.
Yeah, or if like maybe like if thrown items bounce off the rubber more or something.
That would be cool. That would make a lot of sense. Like, yeah, green shell madness.
Yeah.
Pew, pew, pew. Can you place like so classically on the original Mario stage? There's like a floating bumper, isn't there, hanging about?
Yep.
There's a pinball bumper, just like so. Have they given you? Have they expanded stage builder so we can start adding like gimmicks like that into it, or is it just pure platforms?
They've given you the same gimmicks that they gave you before, like have some cannons and have the bumper, I guess, is there. Like have a teleporter that teleports you from one place to another, but they're like not very advanced gimmicks. It's like, and there's not very many.
The teleporters before.
No, I think the teleporters aren't you, but the bumper is there. The cannons that shoot you out a set distance are there. The explosive blocks.
Yeah, we definitely had the cannons. Oh, the explosive blocks, right? Yeah. Okay, so final question: have they made it Super Smash Brothers makery in that they have a online sharing portal so we could get hold of custom stages?
Yes, there is the online sharing tab now in the online section where it's not even just stages; it's all the other random shit like videos and Mii Fighters if you wanted to download those for some reason.
Oh, weird! So all that's new as well.
Yes, they added a new thing in the online thing below, the match queue or whatever. There's just here's your shared content tab, and just go and look at all this crap that people have made.
So is all of that stuff accessible if I don't have Switch Online?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, because because it's not strictly multiplayer.
But it is in the online tab,
it is online.
So you might not be able to get into there, because I think the online check happens as soon as you hit that menu option.
Which would suck. Because it's like, it's a little bit annoying. And it sets precedent for what Super Mario Maker 2 might do. In that you're going to need a Switch Online account in order to really enjoy what that game's about.
Well, I mean, that would kind of make sense if you're just if you figure it works the same way as the previous one, where it's going to download all kinds of levels constantly. Yeah,
it's just that thing that it's not strictly a multiplayer game, right? And they always kind of worded Switch Online as you'll be able to play against people. Like, no, actually, this is you mean you're not going to be able to do any extended services without Switch Online. It's like, that's not quite what you said, but fine. And it's also like a downgrade from like Xbox Live Silver or PS4.
Well, Xbox Live Silver is kind of a slightly weirder situation. Like that was an unusual thing at the time.
Oh, I mean, it's still Silver is basically you have a live account, but you don't have a gold account. I don't know if they call it Silver anymore.
No,
they probably
it's just like generic accounts. It's automatically. That.
You just have an account, but it still meant you get at leaderboards, you can still get at content, you can still share things. You just can't play a multiplayer game against someone. And PlayStation takes the same approach. This does mean that Switch and Nintendo have now not only added a paid service, but they've made their free service worse than the others, which would suck if that's true.
Maybe
more research required.
Yeah,
that would blow. That was my stomach. If you heard that,
but at least you can still get Joker. I guess that's not tied to the online pass. You can still download a character.
Yep, you can still buy the DLC. Because
what is this character then?
Joker. So Joker is the lead from Persona 5,
right,
and is the first of the. Other than Piranha Plant, I guess, the first of the main DLC characters, with 4 more to go. And so what is it, like £5 if you want to buy him outright to get him a stage, Persona themed stage and a load of music tracks to go with it, which will be that Persona jazz that everyone likes.
Yeah. Japanese jazz.
Japanese jazz, not the Gran Turismo jazz. None of that, please. But
and in the tradition of Smash Brothers DLC, he seems to be quite ridiculously overpowered from my test and from some amount of reaction from pro players so far. In fact, on the day he launched, there was a video on my YouTube channel of someone using him in a grand final, and I was like, "Oh, well, yep, I guess that makes sense."
No, they do have a tendency to do that.
Although, also, I guess, I guess to some extent, it's also like element of surprise in that case. Like your opponent won't have time to have worked out all his shit.
Mm. How does he play? Has he got Is he a quirky character, or is he a more normal?
He's sort of he basically has too much of everything. I would say,
right?
It's like he's got like practically his main thing, I guess, is basically like Cloud's Limit Break, except instead of Cloud's Limit Break, where the limit gauge goes up and you can charge limit and all that stuff, he still has a way to charge his limit, but it's more like a counter. Like you get hit and then it charges it, but you take half damage and you don't get knocked back. So that's already pretty good in terms of how to charge limit. But then when you get his gauge full and you get the persona, instead of it being like Cloud where you get one attack and that's your limit break, all of his shit gets powerful for like 20 seconds.
Oh wow, that was quite a while.
So it's kind of ridiculous. And then he has like when you don't have the persona, he has like a grappling hook for his recovery, which is like a tether grab. You know, it latches onto the ledge.
Yep.
And it has quite a long range. But then when you do have the persona, you get like the persona wings as you're up as your recovery, and that's like the highest recovery of the entire game. Like it goes further than Inkling's one, which is already pretty ridiculous. And it's invincible during startup. So it's like, I think he maybe slightly got too much stuff going on here.
That sounds, perhaps a little too much. Well, it just sounds like, as you said, like a lot of previous ideas, but kind of exaggerated.
Yeah. Oh, and also, I was thinking, like, maybe it could be balanced to be, like, maybe he doesn't have kill moves, or maybe he's really light, but that's not really the case. His smash attacks kill perfectly fine, and he's, like, average weight. So it's, like, not even any of the obvious drawbacks you could have had. He just seems quite powerful. But, time will tell.
Yeah, early days. Hopefully they've got, it's not like they're, well, I was about to say, it's not like they've committed to doing more characters, which means hopefully they've committed to more balance, and they've been more upfront with what they're doing patch-wise this time round. So, maybe this will only last like a little while before they decide to figure out how to actually balance him.
It's not what happened with Bayonetta and Smash 4, though.
No, but that's what I mean. They've been better about it this time round, though, in terms of like how they've been handling patches and things like that. So, like, it's hopeful that they will take a more proactive approach this time round. I'm going to buy into it. So it's like whatever, because more Smash is good Smash. But I'm hoping that Switch Online stuff doesn't affect Stage Creator, because it would be nice to pull more in. And also, if the random tools are better, so like if you have got a load of Stage Creator stuff installed, that you can filter out which stages are in the random.
Yeah, I didn't look at that. The trouble is that the created stages are still on a separate tab, and I think that separate tab has a random button, so it would probably only randomize those ones.
Right, because that's a little problematic again, isn't it? Because it's not quite, it's not quite how you want it. And
but I didn't
in the same way that I would quite like to put like perhaps some of the not the Omega stages, but the Battlefield
versions
into the mix. I would quite like to put some of those into the mix, especially for the stages where I don't like their real design.
Yes,
it's like, but their theming is good. It's like, that's fine. Just throw a Battlefield version into the random pool.
I didn't look in the rules page to see if you can toggle like those on there, because when you set up the rules and you can choose which stages go into random, maybe you can do the custom ones in there as well. Maybe I don't know.
All right, to be investigated. It's pretty new. It's only been like out a couple of days, hasn't it? So So we'll figure this out.
I think that's the main news going on.
Yeah, I think so. Can't think of much else of note.
Guess it's how long till E3? Couple of podcasts. One more podcast.
What is it? It's like
bearing in mind all the news comes before E3 actually happens.
Yeah, so we've got a couple more casts until. Yeah, all the news will be out the week before.
Yeah,
and all the press conferences will. Well, E3
be out
is
the week before. Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, so E3 is the week before E3 now.
Cool. Okay, well, it's time for what you've been playing. Should we ask our remote guest, Zach, to go first?
Well, Rocket Path 3 had started, so I've been playing a small amount of Rocket League, not that much yet.
Impressions of the loot?
It's sort of the same again, average-ish.
Okay.
Not anything particularly amazing apart from that poof goal explosion.
I so want the fake out goal explosion. Instead of like the big sort of bombastic affair you get right now, Mike, when you get a goal, there's one where the ball just goes into the goal and disappears, and it goes. Yeah, I want that. It's so good. It's just like
that does sound cool.
I wonder if you can get that painted as well. I wonder if there's colours.
Oh, what? Yeah, like a blue puff of smoke or something. Just
I haven't seen any. Actually, I think I've only seen that goal explosion once so far. I mean, it's in quite a high tier in the Rocket Pass, so I guess
I'm sure
not that many people will have unlocked it.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a pathetic celebration.
Yep.
It's funny, though.
Cool.
So there's that.
I remembered they added HDR support and stuff for console versions of it as well.
Oh.
So like they're doing graphic work on it now.
Oh, and I think they made another attempt at like messing with the sound, maybe.
Oh right, trying to fix all those.
Well, trying to fix it, but also again fucking it up in a different way. Like now on Champions Field, for some reason the goal explosions are insanely loud.
Okay.
And there's also, I think they changed like the sound of the ball, like the hitting the ball. Like you can hear it from further away, like in the distance, it makes a weird noise.
Like it's got a separate sample, like gunfire in the distance.
Yeah, sort of
kind of thing.
So that was the little bit of Rocket League that I played, I guess. Not that much. I did remember the thing that I didn't remember last podcast. Not that it was very important, but for some reason I was like, oh, I'm randomly going to play Open Transport Tycoon. Go back to that for a brief period of time. See if it's changed at all.
Has it changed?
Not really. It's just had like a few bug fixes, but not really anything significant, which was easy to tell because when I went and looked at like the mod list, and it's like,
oh no,
it's
not
like
much has been changing in the actual version.
Oh, hang on, you might have to say that again because you cut out for a second there. Just that last sentence.
The mod list hasn't updated in like 5 years, so clearly the main version hasn't been changed for quite a while.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went back in there and played it. And I played it for like 5 minutes and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this game is real easy. There's like no challenge to it at all.
You've graduated to full-on Factorio difficulty of complicatedness now, so I think...
Well, it's not even like... I mean, that game can be complicated if you want it to be, if you want to make really fancy multi-train networks and stuff, but like, there's absolutely no challenge in like money. Like, you build one train route and you can basically have infinite money. Right.
Is that the same as the original game, or has it been? Is it easier because it's Open Transport Tycoon?
I don't know. I feel like it probably was kind of like that in the original game. I don't think it was ever really balanced that much to the like. And the thing is, like, as always, like road vehicles are completely useless. Like, why would you even bother? They're so shitty when you can just use a train. It's like that's never been balanced in any kind of way.
Right, because you used to use them, right? All the trucks and stuff.
You always build another truck.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You can like you build like it's like I was looking at here's a forest and a sawmill that's like quite close together, and it's like, is it worth building a train? That train would be like hardly travelling 10 tiles. Well, I was building like a little truck station to have a little road going between them, and then fill that road with like 20 goddamn trucks because I can't keep up. And it's like, I might as well have just built a train then. Great. The trucks are so worthless. The only real useful vehicle maybe is like buses for ferrying people into your train stations, I guess. If you were doing that to grow towns.
That never really worked in the old Sim City, did it? Like trying to get people to do intermodal and come to the subway stations and then get in them, and because it didn't really model that very well.
I mean, it works in City Skylines. That actually does work.
Well, that's good.
And in Transport Tycoon, you can specifically be like, unload these people at this station, but assume that they're then going to get picked up by some other form of transport. It's like a special option.
Right, like a transfer station.
The transfer option. So yeah, I didn't play that much of that. It was just like, I went in and I was like, oh yeah, this is real easy. And kind of not that interesting in the early game. So then I stopped again.
Did they do? Was this one of the games they did a big old graphics pass on it to make up-resed imagery? Yeah,
they did, except like I don't think it looks as good. I mean, you have the like slightly up-resed version of the original graphics, and it's like that's good. But then like the new set that they made from scratch, I don't think it looks very good. So I'm just like, I'm just going to stick with the original.
That's always the problem. The art direction is always fucked up whenever anyone does like Halo CE.
Yeah, it's a little bit too different, isn't it? The anniversary edition.
Really don't like it. Yeah. Anyway,
they got a bit better at it with the Halo 2 anniversary.
They did, yeah.
But yeah, the Halo 1 anniversary is a bit overcomplicated.
Speaking of which, back to news. I saw a single screenshot EA released of Command and Conquer Remastered, and that's just the construction yard. And to be fair, it looks pretty faithful and nice.
Did they already haven't they already used basically that exact same thing like in some other remaster of Command & Conquer at some point? It's like the picture of the construction yard. I feel like that's been done before for like some other remake at some point in the past.
I don't know if they've ever truly remastered the first C&C though, have they?
No, I don't think so. I presume this is going to be like Age of Empires 2 HD.
Yeah, or StarCraft HD.
Yeah, or StarCraft HD, yeah.
They're being faithful and they're just giving it a new higher res coat of paint.
That's what it looks like. We shall see.
And
maybe thinking I should dig out my 10th anniversary discs. See if I can still run any of that. If any of that even still works.
The CNC collection.
It'd be nice if they gave us like build order queuing or something. Or some niceties.
Maybe some quality of life stuff. Yeah.
Anyway.
But that would change the game.
Yeah, I know.
Wouldn't be faithful.
You have to have it be an option. Turn it on or off.
You cannot deploy here.
And then I guess the main thing,
or they'll do this the N64 version.
No,
with its fully 3D modeled stuff.
Doesn't look like it.
That would be funny if you put that in as well. Make it a three-way toggle: original graphics, high-res graphics, and N64 graphics.
Yeah, that would be pretty weird. Support for PlayStation Mouse.
And then the only other thing that I've mainly been playing, well, I played quite a lot of Gungeon because that last patch came out. Farewell to Arms or whatever, and me and Rob made a video of that, naturally, as we do.
Video next week.
Playing videos Gungeon.
Shameless plug.
And that's, more Gungeon, more secrets to find and do things, complicated things. Not quite as complicated as like the fucking robot and all that stuff in the last character patch. It's a bit more straightforward. You just have to find a specific thing that's like this weird, like ghostly space portal that appears in your run, and then you pick that up, and then if you finish that run, you unlock the paradox. And then if you play as the paradox, you have to do this. The idea of the paradox is it's to solve the actual, because you're going into the Gungeon to kill the past. So the paradox you go through, and then you go all the way through to the last boss, the Lich. And if you defeat the Lich with the paradox, then it starts a new run immediately where you play as the gunslinger, who, is the Lich, is basically how this lore goes.
Right.
So then you go through with him and defeat the Lich at the end, which is why it's the paradox, obviously. But then the trouble with that is that you're essentially having to play 2 whole runs consecutively. And succeed both times, all the way through with even the secret 6th chamber and the Lich and all that stuff. And I've only ever beaten the Lich once. So yeah, it's not easy.
And long, by the sounds of it.
Yes, and long. 2 whole runs. But then me and Rob did the rainbow run, where it changes how the chests work, where you only get 1 chest per floor, but instead of random items, you get a selection of 8 items, but you can only pick 1. So you kind of get to build your run.
Yeah, and they're all fairly decent items as well, generally. Or higher level items.
Doesn't work so well in co-op, though, as we discovered.
No.
It's fine in single player, you can get away with it, but when you're having to share, half of your stuff between 2 people, it's not quite so doable.
Yeah, you don't get the volume of loot is the same as it is in single player, so it's...
I see.
So you tend to have to be a little bit careful about who gets what. Well, Jack's a bit of a gun hoarder anyway, but it meant that he had to give up some more guns to me.
Well, I don't think we got very good guns in the drops even that we did have the choices of, really, on that run, on the second run. The first run was so bad.
And whatever that antimatter gun was quite effective.
Yeah, once we worked out how the fuck that worked.
As a secondary player, I think that works well.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to use that very well if you were the only person firing.
No. That was fun.
So there's that. More Junction. And the last thing was another patch happened for Oxygen Not Included, so I've been playing that quite a bit. Even though it's kind of pointless because the next patch, which is theoretically the release patch, which is happening sometime in May, is going to introduce new biomes and stuff to the map. So it's kind of pointless that I'm playing it because I'm definitely going to have to start a new map with the next patch because map generation will have changed. But I wanted to go back in there and see how things have been changed over time. And it seems like it's got a lot easier, maybe? Or coincidentally, this map that I've spawned in is also quite a lot easier. It seems to be quite plentiful in water, which is usually the big problem at the mid-game kind of area. But it's not been and also temperature, I guess. But when you have a lot of water, you can kind of deal with temperature quite easily. Because water can absorb a lot of heat.
Yeah, weren't you telling me that they basically added this ridiculous heat absorption technique that just basically negates half of the struggle you were having with?
Well, they added the ice machine, which has been balanced since when I was first talking about it to Rob.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how more balanced it's been. But you feed it water and it turns it into ice at the cost of some amount of power, and then you can use that ice to put in these little ice fans that can cool your base. And those seem quite powerful in terms of how much cooling they output for the cost of water and power. But you actually get the water back was something that I was wondering.
Yeah.
The ice melts back into water and then you can just reuse that water again. So it's not really consuming water, it's only consuming power and I guess work time because people have to work the ice fans. But it's certainly a kind of useful, quick way to cool down your base. And also because the other thing that's also quite a lot easier now is they've made it so the portal that your guys get spawned in through can now also just give you random items as well. Which was good because a lot of the time you weren't ever taking the guys because you didn't have enough of whatever resource you're low on. If you don't have enough oxygen, I can't afford to bring in any more people. But now I can just spawn random items instead and just get bonus free stuff instead of just having that portal do nothing for long periods of time. So that's kind of easier. And one of the things I got randomly in the portal quite early on was just here's a big stack of ice. And I was like, oh sweet, I just get free cooling, free cooling, and then it turns into water as well. So, that makes it kind of a lot easier. I mean, I guess it is random, so it's not always going to be as nice.
Free stack of ice, does that mean you didn't have to run your ice machine? You could just
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
could just
oh,
put that
that's
ice
not
into
bad.
the coolers and then get the water out of it as well after it melts.
Nice.
So yeah, it definitely does seem somewhat easier, but it's also maybe dependent on the map, I guess, and your random luck with the portal. But we'll see how that changes with the new biomes. That will be kind of interesting because the way the map is laid out at the moment, it feels like when you're going to introduce like 3 new biomes, you're going to be overwriting too much of the biomes that already exist. Like every biome is going to be too small. Like there's not enough space in the map for the number of biomes there already is almost.
So which biomes are they introducing?
They haven't actually said yet, so we don't actually know what ones they're introducing. Because at the moment we've got the ice biome
guess, I guess.
and like the hot biome and the hydrogen and chlorine biome and the slime biome. I guess that's the main 4. And space.
Salt biome. Like,
well,
hydrogen, chlorine, you just need a bit of sodium. Maybe.
It's just the kind of medium temperature biome, I guess you'd call it. It's just the hydrogen and chlorine is the gases that spawn in it.
The surprise plant biome.
Yeah, there's going to be new creatures and new plants. I am wondering whether they're going to be like new biomes or like versions of the ones that already exist.
Right.
Because that would kind of make sense. Because then they wouldn't have to overwrite anything. It would still be, the same kind of like heat layout or whatever of the overall map.
But do you think people would be disappointed if they were promised fully new biomes and they just got variations on the existing stuff?
Well, maybe. If they make the map bigger, it would be fine to have more biomes. I don't know.
Right.
That could work.
Slime.
But that's that.
Slime biome doesn't sound fun.
No. That's another thing that changed in the patch was like they made diseases like more common but less deadly.
Right.
Because previously they had the idea of your guys have an immune system, and when they're exposed to germs, the immunity percentage goes down until it reaches 0, and then they get infected by whatever they're exposed to. Whereas now it's just every time you whenever you are exposed to germs, you just have a percentage chance to get ill, which is based on hidden stats, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
But then, like, all the diseases have been toned down quite a lot. Like, the one you get in the slime biome, the slime lung, that used to just kill you after 8 days if you didn't treat it. But now it's just like, you just get slightly, like, less athletic ability and you can't carry as much stuff and you're constantly running out of breath much faster than usual. So it's just like a minor inconvenience for a while, or you can treat it.
There is a slime biome already?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought I was making a joke. Bugger.
I probably said that at some point and you just thought of it.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, the diseases have been toned down quite a lot. So you can theoretically dig into the slime biome without having to bother developing exosuits and having an isolation or whatever.
Yourself from slime lung.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I did that anyway, because I'm so used to doing that now, it's not even like a problem. I just know how to do that. Make a proper airlock, fill it with chlorine, and put the suit docks in there and all that stuff. But you can definitely get away with just digging straight into the slime biome and just letting people get slime lung and just, suffering for a few days. It doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Although the trouble with people getting slime lung is then as they walk around, they cough up more slime germs. So it's quite hard to, like, once someone's got infected, you just get, like, rolling infections where, like, 1 or 2 new people get infected every day. And then the people who recover, they get reinfected at the end of that cycle or whatever. It can be quite hard to completely eradicate the infection after it started without actually treating it. If you're just waiting for it to go away by itself, it can last quite a long time.
Or quarantining?
Yeah, I mean, you could try and do that, but that would be kind of inconvenient because you'd have to build like a separate base area or whatever.
Can you not just lock doors?
Well, you can, but you'd still need them to have like food and toilets and beds and all that stuff. You'd have to build a separate little area.
I guess, unless you're like micromanaging it, like Team Hospital style or something. Okay, I'll unlock the door to the bogs. We'll let him make his route, but everyone else is locked in while.
I mean, maybe you could do it with. You could partially do it if you change like the shifts. if you made it so like all the sick people were on a different shift, so their downtime was separate from everyone else, so they only went to the toilet during a different time zone, so that would slightly reduce the chance that they'd be in the same place.
You have designated pooping times.
That kind of happens naturally whenever their downtime happens.
Pooping does indeed happen naturally.
So that's that. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much everything, I think. Although probably I forgot something again, as usual.
Any more Dirt Rally stuff?
No.
No. That does not
really
seem to have caught on with us.
No.
Apparently.
Well, it's that goddamn patch. It's still sitting there looking at me and being like, you're going to need to have 30 gigs free. And maybe more, since the last patch took up some of that space. It's just like, god damn it. And I don't want to. I'd run that patch overnight, except I don't want to run it overnight because then I know Windows is going to be bitching at me. Where it's like your hard disks are running out of space, and it's just like, god damn it! Don't do that, Windows.
I already know. You have to delete something else.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for Team Fortress to go.
Yeah.
Could be.
It could be. Rob,
Sad day.
what have you been playing?
Stuff.
Stuff.
But not a huge amount of stuff. I haven't had a huge amount of time the last couple of weeks to sink into things. Not as much as I normally would, anyway. So it's kind of mostly the same as last time in that I've been working my way through the Spider-Man DLC.
Mm-hmm.
I've got through the
No
heist. Yeah, no spoilers. They're sort of a standalone story anyway. It does follow on from the main thing. But
I just mean I want to play those DLCs.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Well, I will eventually. I haven't finished the main story yet, but I will.
Fine. So the heist, which follows, as you could tell from the pictures for the DLC,
yeah, that's fine.
Follows Black Cat.
Cool.
And you actually get to see her and have a proper interaction rather than in the main game where it was just kind of her presence is there but not
you don't actually see
you
it
never
directly.
meet.
Yeah.
And I have to say that I like the reviews for some of this stuff for The City That Never Sleeps were a little bit down on it, and at least for the first part.
Mm.
I'm not quite sure why. It's like the first part is actually pretty good.
Cool.
I came away thinking, all right, yeah, this is neat. They introduced a new type of brute that I don't like very much.
Didn't even like the original type of brute that much.
No, not hugely. He's mildly more irritating than the regular one. But they do a reasonably good job of across the board of the crimes are still the crimes. And it's a shame they don't get a bit more attention. There's one new crime type I think to deal with, and there's some of the challenge mode comes back thanks to Screwball rather than the the challenger dude, whoever that was,
the weird looking dude.
Taskmaster, wasn't it? Taskmaster. Which again add new mechanics, not necessarily, or make force you to do things in a certain way, which for the most part works well. They're like, oh yeah, do this, or the 2-gadget challenge is an interesting one where it's like all of your takedowns can only be using 2 specific gadgets, forcing you to play that in a slightly different way. And the way the Screwball challenges work, you get these photo bomb areas where it's like you have to do the takedown in the area, and forces you to mix up your tactics a bit if you're going for the higher rankings and things like that. And those proved out all right. And the story was executed quite well, actually, as well. So,
nice.
But what I didn't realize is that the 3 DLC chapters aren't separate from one another.
They're actually an integrated story.
They're an integrated, bigger story involving, I won't go into too much, but I think it's genius that Spider-Man calls the Mafia the Magia. They just changed one letter.
Okay.
And there's
The Magia.
They don't even go that far up the spectrum, do they? They went F to G. And it's like, great, there we go, we're sorted. And so it focuses more around the sort of their fake mafia,
right?
But the first one ends on a sort of cliffhanger ending, and does a to be continued and everything.
Nice.
And it's like, oh, okay, so you are clearly these 3 DLC packs are clearly linked.
Right. That's cool.
And I'm most of the way through Turf Wars as well, which is the second one, of which I'm not so hot on. I think this might be the. I'm hoping this is the weak middle chapter. In the story isn't really all that interesting. The mission design has taken a big downturn. I don't think it's nearly as interesting. And I think some of the combat encounters are just clumsily made.
Right. Like
very amateurish mistakes and very like it's more combat focused, this one, I think, than the previous one. Which isn't a bad thing because the combat's good.
Generally quite good.
But they introduce a new enemy type that is just the worst.
Right.
Like, just like some of the enemies are quite irritating anyway, but this one I think actually is just a little bit broken. Like it doesn't give you a lot of dodge window. It doesn't do the blue flash over the dodge. You just get a general sort of grey, the grey spider sense indicator, which doesn't really mean a huge amount to me.
No,
it's like you want that blue flash. There have been a lot of the classic combat failings where people are attacking you from off screen and without much of an indicator that they're doing so. Some of the arenas in which you've fought have just been very busy, meaning the camera has had a hard time positioning itself to make you actually see anything useful. And there was one combat encounter that I think does the cardinal sin of boss fights, or not really boss fights, but just any combat encounter, where it cuts quickly out of a cutscene into suddenly you're in control.
Danger.
And there's an attack that's going to hit you in a split second.
Right, that's the worst.
Yeah, and it wasn't just that it came out of the cutscene in that state. It's like I died during the first time I attempted, and it came back in exactly that same place with like a billion guns aimed at me and already red.
Right.
And it's like you have to start that account by pressing circle immediately, otherwise you're going to take a ton of damage.
Right.
And it's just don't do that. That's bad.
Clearly, don't do that.
That's just poor design. And it's a real shame to see that in this. Like the game mostly avoided classic pitfalls, and this second DLC pack seems to be falling into them fairly hard. Although I will say some of the opener for Turf Wars is good. The first sort of story beat is really quite nicely done. Takes a darker turn, which I guess has been a bit of this Spider-Man game. There's been some dark turns here and there.
Yeah, but generally a light tone, but then the occasional dark.
At the moment. Whereas the start of this one definitely has one of those, and it's but it's not as strong as the heist. But
the first,
definitely not as strong.
Okay, cool.
So we'll see where it goes. I'm gonna, as I say, most of the way through it now. I've just got that little bit of Turf Wars left to do, and then I've forgotten what the last part is called, but. We'll see. So that's mostly what I've been doing.
I'm like fully Sinister Sixified now, or whatever.
Oh, cool! So you finally got through the prison sequence then?
That's all done, and the city's all on fire and all that shit. So, as you might expect from a Spider-Man game.
Yeah. So Rikers has all happened.
Yeah,
indeed.
So I think I'm getting towards the end now. But I've been doing. There's a lot of submissions. So
that's what, as I say, I estimate that was like 2/3 of the way in. There's still like a whole third of game once that happens,
right?
Because you get a whole load of new crimes open up, don't they, around the city?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all the open world stuff. I don't think it's that there's probably aren't that many main missions left, but it opened up like
there's a few more bases to do, things like that.
There are two new kinds of bases: the Sable bases and the. And
of course, Sable happens as well. Yeah,
and so now I'm like dealing with Sable jetpack dudes and.
The jetpack dudes are probably one of the more annoying enemy types.
And the whip dudes that pull you down.
Oh, but you had that with Mr. Negative.
Yeah.
You had those quite early. But, they're quite annoying as well because everything's so aerial in that game, and all of a sudden it's like, can't be aerial for a while.
Yeah,
deal with it.
I'm not actually sure what the counter to that. I think you just have to stun them.
No, just get rid of them. Yeah. Just deal with the whip guys. The aerial guys aren't so bad. There is a strategy to them.
Yeah.
But you've got to do it fast because they're quite annoying if you leave them alone.
Yeah, they're kind of bombing runs are kind of annoying.
Yeah. Because it's the stun bombs as well that leave you blurry for a while, and they take out your gadgets for a while.
Yeah.
It's you've still got quite a bit left.
Really?
Yeah, as I say, I reckon that all kicks off around 2/3 of the way through.
Okay.
So
another few months of that, and I'll be done with Spider-Man. And then I'll get on to the DLC.
I assume you're not too involved with Osborn or that plot line coming around yet.
Yeah, that's happening.
Oh, okay. So maybe you're a bit further than I thought. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a cool game. Yeah,
it is a cool game.
It's a cool game. Stopping me from playing things I should probably be playing, though. Like, actually other games.
What else have you been on?
Nothing really, other than, as I say, because I was limited for time, other than Jet Set Radio Future.
Jet Set Radio!
So it turns out my Xbox was, like, conveniently the 1.6 revision, so I didn't have to do any ripping of capacitors off my motherboard. It's the good one. So yeah, while I had it out, but as part of that process, like I was like, okay, my serial number seems to be good. My date of manufacturer seems to suggest I'm in the 1.6 range, but the only surefire test is to go look at the BIOS number. So I got it all out of the box, got it all set up, got it ready to go, and then was like, plugged it into my amp through. What's the one? Is it composite? It's composite, isn't it? The yellow one. Plugged it into the amp, and then realized that my amp doesn't do composite upscaling. Like it has a port for it, but it's only composite pass through rather than actually turning it into an HDMI signal. So it's like balls. I can't actually use this thing with my new TV, can I? Because I've got no way of actually getting a decent signal out to it. So I bought an open source scan converter that does a fairly decent job, but I reckon I could do a better job with it in terms of getting the picture in HDMI. Check the BIOS number, all good. And then I was like, well, I've got all this stuff now, and it's all out. What do I do with it? Let's play some Outrun 2 and Jet Set Radio, of course.
Absolutely.
Outrun 2 holds up surprisingly well. It's got to be said. Like, it's very arcadey, so, obviously tuned for that. Like, hard as balls. Harder than I remember. Not massively good at it, but good for a few quick runs here and there. I hate to say it, but I don't think Jet Set Radio holds up nearly as well as I thought it would.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the art style holds up.
Oh yeah, the
vibe. The music holds up.
The music holds up. The general vibe of the game.
It's just
good vibes.
It's just the gameplay, yeah.
Yeah, the gameplay is rough.
But you're right. Like, it was never like as sharp as like a Tony Hawk or something. It was always like in terms of the actual mechanics of skating or doing tricks or even any part of that.
Yeah, it's like it's the best way to describe it is like there's clearly upgrades all over the place, but I think in terms of getting more creative with the environments, they've ended up creating problems with the camera can't keep up half the time. It doesn't have proper right stick camera control.
No.
Which is a huge problem. And like just getting yourself positioned to get on grinds can sometimes be really awkward in the tight spaces. The way the camera like jerks around when you're on like the zigzag rails, really kind of dizzying after a while. The environments, as I tried to explain to Dan earlier today, is like the environments do feel a little at odds with the controls at times, and how the skating actually works. And it's
for sure.
That's clearly because even compared to the original, I think, because the original had to be simplified because of hardware limitations, and here they've got a little bit more freedom to go a bit nuts, and so things definitely look better. And the design of the especially Shibuya Terminal and things like that, it's clearly more going on. There's more people. There's more intricate rails and how it's all linked together and intercrossing and stuff like that. But as a result of that, it doesn't feel quite as clean to play. Like those areas are too complex almost for how much control you have, and that's a real bummer because it's making it a bit harder to play through than I was hoping. I'm like 5 hours in, so I've sinking quite a bit of time into it, and I'm probably going to see it through at this point.
Yeah,
because it's still enjoyable.
But yeah, ain't no modern game, that's for sure.
No, it's got a lot of old sensibilities that don't really hang anymore. But it does. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like in a strange way though. That's the best reason for making a new one, right?
Indeed, yeah.
You take all of what is good about it, and there's a lot of good about it. But it's just right, even the simple things you just wouldn't do anymore. Like you wouldn't even really think about, I guess, in terms of how that game is structured and things like that. You just do naturally. and it would be a better game. It's like, just do it. It would be a better game. Like, you can't possibly make it a worse game. And I don't mean that because it's like so bad or whatever. It's like I genuinely think it would be hard to take the ideas that Jet Set Radio has and make a worse game. Which in some way, like, actually makes me feel a little more confident about that Hover thing. The Revolt of Gamers, that terrible name. That might actually succeed in what this was going for, maybe, but have a better, more modern trick system or something like that attached to it. Anyway, it's cool. Just a radio.
We got Burnout 3 to play on now.
I do, as it turns out. Apparently, I have 2 copies of Burnout
Sweet,
3.
Better stick that in. I mean, come on. I mean, I was watching some footage of, like, dangerous driving against Burnout 3.
Zach and I watched a bit of that. Yeah.
And it's like, it looks nice, dangerous driving, but, like, there's more kind of cool urban environments in Burnout 3 with more going on. And, like, just the way that just the text appears, like, takedown and trading paint, there has a level of polish that they can't really match even today.
There's a lot of polish missing from dangerous driving.
There's masses of polish missing. Which was just there in Burnout 3 all those years ago because it was a big budget EA game. Right?
It's a bit of a bummer in that, it was a huge budget. It was a massive team to make Burnout 3.
Yeah. And how, I mean, it's one of the best games.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But on some level, it's like none of that stuff is technically as difficult to do nowadays as it was back then.
But they still can't quite, because they've only got like 7 of them or something.
Yeah, it is a very small team. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like they're cranking out these games quite quick.
Yeah.
Like from Dangerous Golf to Danger Zone
to
Danger Zone 2. And now
they're
this.
Trying to get to this. Maybe they'll just do Dangerous Driving 2 quickly, and they'll just keep upping the ante on basically trying to get to Burnout 3.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the right route. Like, I would have liked this to have just cooked for longer.
Yeah, but they've got to get it out because they've got to get some.
Got to get deals and stuff,
and prove that there's an audience for basically Burnout 3, like all these years later.
Yeah, but I think their cadence, has created a problem for them. It's like, I know they tried to take on smaller projects with Danger Zone to lead into this to some degree, but I don't think it's working for them. Like, they're too fast and not good enough. Perhaps a better game would have had a higher payout, because it would have landed what everyone actually really wanted.
Yeah.
It's like it's difficult. True. It's difficult to know how, it's business ultimately. I'm no businessman. But.
Yeah.
But yes, we can definitely break out the Burnout 3.
Well,
the Rally Sport Challenge 2.
You got that?
I've got 2. You had 1.
Oh right.
But I've got Rally Sport 2.
Oh yeah, 2.
I've got 2 copies of original Forza as well. Somehow, I don't know how I keep ending up with multiple copies. It's like some weird stuff apparently happened at uni, and I've gained more things than I had.
Yeah, probably.
I just didn't realize. Unreal Championship 2.
No.
Coup de grace.
That's got to be bad.
It's probably really bad now. I bet that hasn't aged well at all. Dead or Alive. I've got Dead or Alive Ultimate for some reason.
Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball.
I have got Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball. I'm ashamed to say.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the Xbox is for, right?
They kick high. Was that old ad?
So wrong. Right, I think that's us for games, isn't it, this week?
No Civ 6 this time?
No, just Spider-Man. I haven't got any further on strategy games.
It requires so much time. It requires so much time.
Time for games?
Well, no, Civ. Or
for
strategy
Civ.
Games in general.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's true.
Kippers wanted to add a little shout out to One Finger Death Punch 2, which he says is pretty good.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
In the words of Larry David. Pretty good.
Oh, there was one of those. Screwball does quote that as well at one point.
Oh, really?
Pretty good.
Love a bit of Curb. Yeah. I need to watch all of that again, to be honest. Watched Curb for a long time. don't know if there's going to be another season of that. They did one, and it came up. It was a long time coming.
Is this the one that Netflix picked up, or did someone else?
No,
pick
it's
it up?
HBO.
Oh, HBO. Right.
It's always HBO.
Who was it? Oh, wasn't there one of those sorts of shows that Netflix picked up because they didn't get another?
What, like Arrested Development?
Ah, that's the one I'm thinking
Right,
of.
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. All right, that'll be a podcast. Probably.
Yeah, we're coming in under time on this one, I reckon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, miles. Blimey.
Yeah. But
It's a compensate for the last one.
Indeed.
Well, yeah. Not that that's how this usually works.
No.
No.
But what content have we got coming up YouTube-wise? We've got Sonic Forces.
Not next week. Next week will be Gungeon.
But look back, our latest video is
Sonic Forces. Sonic Forces happened last week.
Yeah, so you got to check that out.
You've got to give in to despair.
Yep, because, that game is kind of what you think it's going to be.
Well, I'm having to resist going in and playing it myself a little bit, because it's just because we've gone into this blind, which we don't normally do.
Yeah.
We've played through these Sonic games before. We've taken them on. But this time I'm sort of a bit of me is that during that first hour, at least we've put to video, it's this doesn't seem as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I think my hopes are I'm pretty sure that has to go downhill at some point, but
I don't know if it's going to go downhill. I think it's just not going to go in either uphill or downhill. It's just going to be really flat, and that will just kind of disappoint you over time.
Yeah, I guess. It won't be a green hill. It'll be a sand hill.
Yes, clearly.
And then the next video, do you say, is Gungeon?
Into the Gungeon, Farewell to Arms.
We fancy rainbow runs.
We do the rainbow run.
As always.
Bit of a longer one this time.
Yes, because we did one. The first run was so bad it lasted a very short amount of time. We were like, let's do another one, but then that one was okay, so we ended up with a long video.
Yeah, so the second run was a lot better.
So check that out on YouTube, coming soon on our YouTube channel.
Spoilers, I guess, to our runs.
Spoilers to our runs, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks for another Saladcast. Hopefully, Zach's back has improved by then.
There's always a solution. We have the technology.
We can rebuild him.
Well, I don't know if we would rebuild him. I'm not that much of a mason. I can't work bricks the way that Zach needs.
Especially when they're business card size.
Yeah, I need to just put them on. I mean, put them on the desk of someone who does. Then they'll fix him.
Cool. Goodbye, listeners.